Hey, Friendo, Steve here.
Hey, Larson.
Welcome back to Going in Raw News Brief. Bit of a shocker, I think, today in the world of fiduciary holdings or something.
That vocabulary. You're talking about stonks is what you're talking about.
Talking about stonks. So listen to this. I'm not sure what to make of it. I'm not sure anybody else really knows what to make of it, but we're going to speculate regardless. TKO Holdings, which is sort of like the raw-gated WWE and UFC company,
correct,
announced today that Vincent Kennedy McMahon was selling 8.4 million shares of his Class A common stock in the company, which is about 30% of his total shares. What? WrestleNomics, WrestleNomics is Brandon Thurston, reported that the value of the sold shares would have a market value of around $700 million, and added that, quote, Ari Emanuel and Mark Shapiro, the bigwigs there at Endeavor, have indicated an interest in buying $1 million and $1.85 million worth of those shares, respectively. So, after all these filings about Vince McMahon being basically an albatross on the company and a shit stain, now that's being followed up with him doing something that Ari Emanuel said was possible when talking about the low stock price, or the lower than what they would hoped stock price.
Possibility that Vince, because he has a clause in his deal there that, unlike most other people involved in this transaction, I think there's a embargo of 5 years before they could sell any of their stock. Vince is exempt from that.
Don't have to do that.
Seen by this.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know what it means for Vince's future as chairman of TKO.
I know what it means for the stock price because I'm looking at it right now. And after hours, yeah, that's exactly what the line looks like. In after hours trading, it has gone from around $85 down to $80, which is quite a bit of a dip there.
Look at Vince looking out to maximize shareholder value, huh?
yeah, man, that was a lie from day one.
Oh yes. This is about maximizing value for Vince McMahon, I think.
Yeah.
In this scenario, at least.
Even sorry, not to interrupt. Even as of yesterday, at 9:30 a.m., it reached a high of $88, and now it's down to $80.
And it was around 102, I want to say, in September when they launched TKO, I believe.
Yeah, it's done nothing but gone down, man.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're not financial experts here, far from it.
No, I've got like $13 in my checking account right now.
I know how to balance my checkbook, to be perfectly honest with you.
I don't know where my checkbook
I tried years ago, failed, gave up.
Yeah, I don't know where my checkbook
Whatever
is.
the bank says I have, I guess that's what I have.
So I don't. Do you recall when the whole deal was going down? Vince McMahon's role as head of WWE guy of like, what is it like?
Yeah, he's chairman of the board at TKO. Yeah,
okay.
That's his official title, I believe.
Do you know? Is it possible for him to unload all of his stock and still be chairman of the board? You could be chairman of the board if you don't own stock, right?
Like I just said earlier, we're not financial experts here, Steve. Everything I know about the world of huge finance, I learned from a TV show, Succession.
Oh, yeah, right.
So unless you start throwing terms like bear hug at me,
right,
I'm kind of lost, to be honest. That's why I went to film school. Yeah. It wasn't an economics major.
Did he lose a game of a round of Boar on the Floor, and so he was forced to sell his stock?
Perhaps.
I mean, obviously, the general sentiment on Twitter, again, filled with a lot of people who don't know what they're talking about, is this has got to be some sort of evidence that Vince is sort of exiting the WWE TKO sphere, right?
I mean, that's the immediate speculation. We're not privy to any inside information about what preceded the sale. It could be as simple as, well, God damn it, pal, I didn't get the financial windfall I was hoping to get from this deal.
I was hoping to get.
So the only way I'm gonna get actually real money out of this deal is start unloading some stock. It could be as simple as that. Hey, I want $700 million.
Did he just give his company away for less? Dude, so he could have, if I'm not mistaken, Like, is it possible it'll end up with less and no company?
So let's do some math here. I just said we're not financial experts, so obviously math isn't our specialty. So
I don't know how many stocks he had, like how many shares he had.
Well, you can do the math. If 8.4 million is 30%, we can find out what 100%.
Oh, no. I'm sorry. While it was just WWE, before the deal, yeah. I don't know what he could, if he sold all the shares.
So I think he had the controlling interest in the company, but I want to say he only had 30%.
He had I think it was 30%, but they were like super juiced up stocks that just gave him like supreme voting power.
Yeah. I mean, it depends on the classification of stock. Because there's at least 3 different classifications: Class A, B, and C. So.
Yeah.
If do some rough math here. So if 8.4 is roughly a third of what he has, you could say he has about 25 million.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Does that make sense?
I think he had, what was it? I think it was around 28 million shares. I think that was actually noted by somebody. Right. Yeah.
So you think if a third of his value, at least right now, as the stock price today is about 700 million, the full value would be about what, 2.1 billion-ish, or 2 billion?
28. I have to turn my calculator sideways on my phone for the extra
accommodate
zeros.
all those numbers.
I know, exactly. 28 million times, oh hell, I don't know. 28, here we go.
Times 80 or 88, whatever.
Times this stupid thing. I wanted to clear out 28 million times 8. Well, now $80.
All right.
It was 84 at the time, I think. 2.3 billion.
2.3 billion. All right.
Could he have gotten more than 2.3 billion if he just outright sold his 30%, or if they just actually sold the company? I kind of suspect that he would have.
Think so?
Maybe.
You think so?
I feel like he didn't really get much for his company, dude.
No, it didn't. It didn't seem like that was the case when it was first announced. It's like, what are you getting out of this, Vince? Yeah. Other than we thought he gets to retain power in WWE. We thought that was going to be that's why he did this deal.
Yeah, he'd give up money to have power, but he doesn't have that either.
All the talk of maximizing shareholder value. Shareholders didn't see a cent out of this deal.
Yeah, I know. And
they got their stock converted to TKO stock, and pew!
I don't know if that stock was converted 1-to-1.
I don't know. I don't know either.
But you can't think that it's good for your stock to go from $105 to $80. I know that's bad.
That's bad. I'm not an economics type guy, but I know that's bad.
I don't think you have to be an economics type guy to know that's bad. So anyways, maybe it's going to be the sad last days of Vince McMahon being a part of WWE. I think that's a distinct possibility. I really do. Whether or not that's actually going to be the case. I mean, Christmas is coming up. Maybe he's like, God damn it, pal, I got to buy Christmas presents.
Maybe he's going to buy expensive gifts for everybody. Who knows?
Yachts for everyone. I want a yacht, Vince. That'd be cool. Yeah, sail the seas.
I get seasick too easily. I'll pass on the yacht.
You're not going to go with me on my yacht?
No, you saw me. I was vomiting over the edge of that boat.
That was a fishing barge. That's not a yacht. You went on a cruise? You weren't vomiting all the time, were you?
No, but I was also inebriated most of the time.
Hey, man, I'll bring the Pabst.
On the cruise.
Let's talk about AEW losing money, just like Vince McMahon's losing money. Hey, if it's good enough for Vince, it's good enough for Tony Khan.
What's going on with this? Brandon Thurston again. He's all over his episode of News Brief. Hey, by the way, follow Brandon Thurston on Twitter.
Go check out WrestleNomics on the Patreon, too.
I was just about to get to that, too. Check out WrestleNomics on Patreon. Brandon Thurston does great work. So he was recently interviewed by SE Scoops about a wide variety of wrestling, business, and financial matters, TV deals, so on and so forth. It talked about AEW's prospects for a new TV deal coming up in 2024 and whether the company was profitable as of yet. That's what Brandon had to say. Quote, I think Tony is incredibly committed to Warner Brothers Discovery. He's insanely loyal. I asked him recently if Fox was now a possibility for AEW, with SmackDown leaving. He would only talk about Warner Discovery and how he loves being partners there. I'm confident they aren't profitable now. They need to make $200 million a year in media rights to get to profitability. They'll get some increase. They could get triple what they're getting now. It's not unreasonable, but he's going to continue to run the company and do what he's doing, whether it's profitable or not. So I believe estimates are their current deals around $50 million, I want to say.
Okay.
I believe it says in this interview.
Mm-hmm.
Let me check that. Steve, do you want to get this quote here from the interviewer and author of the story, BJ Bethel, please?
Yeah, sure. So he added this. After speaking with Thurston, I contacted a couple AEW sources about profitability in the company. Some thought the company needed a TV deal of around $500 million in total to get the annual revenue they need, which is the number most in AEW have talked about as far as a TV deal. Others said the company has a lot of room to move as far as cutting costs go if it comes to that. One source said they hoped it wouldn't come to that, but said the roster is massive and paid well and has more wrestlers than they need, though Khan has shown no interest in cutting talent on a mass scale. There's Ring of Honor, which is airing weekly on Honor Club without a TV deal, which could potentially end up on a WBD network or could be slashed if need be. Another source said there were many areas that they could cut costs in the company and get close to profitability. They mentioned travel and that the number of AEW wrestlers and staff flying first class is much higher than WWE, which is usually only a handful. So we'll pause there before we get to this House of Wrestling report.
Real quick. So according to the SE Scoops article mentioned here, it says here AEW gets somewhere around 50 to 70 million per year for TV rights.
And that would need, so according to what Thurston, they would need 200 million a year in media rights to get profitability.
Yeah.
And then the inside sources from BJ Bethel says it would need closer to $500 million in total to get the annual revenue they needed.
So if you think $500 million in total, depending on the term of the deal.
Yeah, that's because it could be 3 years or 5 years. That's
Exactly.
like, there's too much there. Like maybe, I mean, that could be between 100 and 150 million a year.
Roughly,
so,
yeah. Because there's 100 million. That's only roughly double what they're getting now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a long ways from what Brandon Thurston's saying here. So who knows?
Yeah.
So I guess my understanding based on this is that I think AEW pays for travel, whereas WWE doesn't. I think. I could be wrong about that.
Yeah, I wonder if it's sort of per contract. I wonder if that's sort of the situation here is
that could be.
AEW is paying big money for a lot of their higher tier wrestlers, more higher tier wrestlers than WWE's paying for
WWE doesn't pay for travel for anybody except for probably a select few.
That's what I'm saying, except for a select few. AEW more, but I would be kind of surprised if they're paying for everybody on their roster to fly first class.
Yeah, probably not everybody, but probably, the higher paid talent for sure.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I mean, look, the bottom line is Tony Khan is from a $1 billion family. And, those $1 billion families, they just make billions and billions and billions like in perpetuity. You saw what happened during the pandemic when billionaires were able to double and triple their wealth. So I mentioned this to you off screen. This reminds me of that scene in Citizen Kane when Kane's buddy was saying, man, you're losing money hand over fist here. You're losing $1 million a year. And Kane responds with, at this rate, I'll be broke in 60 years. And I kind of feel like, Tony, like, you have to understand, I understand, like, from our perspective, this is super expensive. From his perspective, especially if you have confidence in your company and you understand there are media rights deals out there. All I got to do is like prove that, hey, this whole bundle, which is going to include Ring of Honor, which we're going to talk about here in a second, is going to net me what I need to be profitable. Then I'll show them. But in the meantime, like, I don't know, I don't know what kind of loss he'd be running at, like what his actual overhead is. But evidently he believes that at some point he'll get in the profitability. He just needs the right TV deal, which apparently is not going to be the CW with Ring of Honor, Larson.
No, House of Wrestling had news today about the one TV deal, apparently that Tony Khan has passed on, saying the following, quote, House of Wrestling has learned that a high-level CW executive approached Khan at the LA Forum in June 2022, about bringing Ring of Honor content to the network. We are unsure if this was before talks between the CW and the NWA or NXT were underway. From what we understand, Khan did not pursue the talks with the CW as he refuses to seriously entertain new deals from Ring of Honor until AEW TV rights are in play, which will be in 2024. Khan feels that by waiting, he will have more options and leverage in the marketplace. House of Wrestling continues. They've heard at least 2 other notable pro wrestling companies that are not the NWA or NXT that the CW was in talks with recently. We are currently working to find out more information on those talks. We have also been told that CW is open to hosting multiple pro wrestling products on their platform. And WOW, Women of Wrestling, will likely continue to air on the CW during the same time frame WWE NXT does.
That's interesting.
So CW seemed intent on getting into the pro wrestling business.
But again, they're looking at AEW's NXT. They're not saying, hey, let's bring Rampage over. Let's bring Collision over. We want
They don't want to pay the money that they would need to bring
exactly
those properties over. They can spend far less, get the content they want with Ring of Honor. And I don't exactly recall the time frame. Was June 2020 when Jericho was... It was last summer when Jericho was Ring of Honor champ, right?
Yeah.
I want to say.
Yeah.
Is that right?
That's
roughly
right.
after that.
Could
and
be.
if the idea is that they can get Ring of Honor at a relatively low price tag, and especially the way Tony Khan at the time was approaching or trying to keep the Ring of Honor brand alive on AEW television, hey, maybe we'll have Chris Jericho on on the Ring of Honor show on the CW to bring viewers in.
Well, I mean, that's the thing about NXT is that WWE has main roster talent they can put there if they need to juice up those ratings. And similarly, Ring of Honor could do that as well. This would have been kind of awesome because I feel like if you do that, it's a distinct difference from what they're doing now with Ring of Honor, which is dumping ground, and Athena. Like there's Athena, who's like the jewel of the entire thing. And then there's just like everybody else without any other champions there, which is kind of bizarre.
Yeah. So sorry, Jericho didn't get the belt till September of 2022. Claudio got it in July of 2022. So this is before they really did the hard relaunch with Death Before
Okay,
Dishonor.
because Claudio got it from Gresham. Okay,
Gresham, yeah. So they had Supercard to Honor Mania weekend in 2022, and then it was kind of dormant for a while, and then they had Death Before Dishonor. Was kind of, if I remember correctly, the relaunch of Tony Khan's Ring of Honor.
Okay.
So it preceded all that. So I'm double check on that.
All right. So yeah, I don't know. Interesting. It's a big, gamble, but I guess he thinks that it's going to pay off, and we'll see if it does. It's going to be really interesting to see what those rights were. I wonder do you think CW is talking to Impact or something?
I mean, what other pro wrestling promotions are there that they could
New
talk
Japan
to?
Strong.
Maybe.
Could be.
Maybe.
But yeah, Impact maybe. I don't know.
Maybe.
That'd been kind of cool for them. I'd be all about that.
That'd be great for Impact, yeah. Go from a TV network that I don't know how many people have to...
Like 15.
Yeah, no. Not 15 million.
I'm just saying 15 individuals have access to Access. And
3 households.
One of them, Scott D'Amore. Anyways. So, yeah. What do you guys think about all this? A lot of, stuff in play, nothing really, solid to move on. Do you think... Let me ask this. Come November 9th, 2024... will Vince McMahon still be a part of TKO Holdings?
Ask me next time he sells a bunch of stock.
Well, yeah, at that point it's going to be no.
It's probably going to be pretty obvious at that point. He sells another 30%. It doesn't seem like he's be sticking around very much longer.
Probably not. I'm going to go hard no. In fact, I'll make that an early I'm going to call dibs on that prediction. By the end of 2024, Vince McMahon.
Oh, what a softball that is, man.
Oh, come on. Nobody saw him selling this much stock this early, apparently, except Ari Emanuel. Anyways, that's going to do it for the show today. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Appreciate it. Load up the comments with your comments.
Yes, please.
And hit that like, subscribe, all that stuff. We'll see you around.
Bye.